The pop that I heard, and I'm like, did you hear? You heard it, right? Did you just?
Yes.
Yeah, we've definitely got some visitors here with us right now.
You may not believe in ghosts, but this next story might give you the chills. A local man says he has some ghostly roommates, and he has the video to prove it.
On August 8th, 1969, one of the most notorious crimes in Los Angeles history occurred off Benedict Canyon.
They were discovered this morning by a maid who ran screaming to neighbors.
Actress Sharon Tate was murdered by members of the Manson family. Now, one man who lives just a few houses away from where the murders took place believes Tate's ghost and 1,000 others live in his house. David Oman built his home 13 years ago, and that's when he says odd things started happening. Paranormal experts and TV shows have investigated his house, and while there are some skeptics, several eerie occurrences have been recorded.
Okay.
The reason why I believe that there's paranormal activity in this house is a U.S. Geological Survey geomagnetic anomaly.
Or a portal.
And it's the geomagnetic energy here that scared away a renowned parapsychologist who, with over 4,000 credited investigations to his name, refuses to ever return to this home.
David believes Sharon Tate's spirit traveled down the street because she feels safe at his house and says the other spirits are simply energized by the location.
Part of Benedict Canyon, where David Oman's house is located, is actually acknowledged by the U.S. Geological Survey as a geomagnetic anomaly site. The geomagnetic field at that particular location is anywhere from 5 to 60 times normal. The USGS, nor anyone else, doesn't know why these forces are prevalent there.
Hey guys, I apologize for recording while driving. I am on my way to Cielo Drive. You might be familiar with that name, you might be familiar with that street. Cielo Drive is the street where Sharon Tate and 4 other people were brutally murdered, stabbed and shot to death. She was 8 months pregnant in 1969. I'm excited to meet David, I'm excited to see his house. I'm headed there right now to get a tour and see what happens, because I'm a skeptic. I'm very much a show it to me kind of person. I have to see it to believe it. So let's see if anything happens. I brought some crystals for protection because I don't want to bring anything home with me, and I also don't want to get hurt, and I want to be very safe tonight. See what happens. So come along with me. That's the Sharon Tate house. That's it right there. This would have been the very drive the killers drove up. It appears someone took down the Cielo Drive sign. Just imagine there were no other houses on this street except for 3, I believe. Driving the exact route that the murderers would have driven. The gate is open. We got a rare glimpse inside of Sharon Tate's property as it closes.
So, Tyler, this is the street that they walked on, and this house here was integral in the story because Winifred Chapman, the housekeeper, ran down the street to the first house, and they wouldn't answer the door because they didn't want to get involved per the homeowner. So because only that White House where that is and this house here, and that was it. There were no other homes up here, you have to understand.
It was just hillside?
Just hillside until the very, 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 very bottom. That house was there. Winifred Chapman ran to this house. The son of the owner was there, the 16-year-old, and he basically had her come in the house, and she called the police from this house, and the police interviewed her here.
So this street was swarming with police
I'll
that
show
day.
you some pictures I have from the day of the murders. The driveway going up, leading up to that, where the gate was, and you'll see the cars. And oh yeah, this was swarming with police.
Wow.
And according to my friend and neighbor who's passed away, Richard Anderson, from the $6 Million Man. He was Oscar Goldman. He said to me, "You won't believe what it was like." The police were at my door and they were interviewing me extensively and asking me what I heard. And I said, I didn't hear a lot of stuff. I heard sounds and stuff, but I couldn't figure out where they were coming from. Or as he said, we couldn't figure out where they were originating from. And after living here for 22 years, I can tell you that the acoustics in this canyon are nuts, because I was able to hear Richard and Richard could hear me from my balcony. And when he was on his roof, the voices carry in the canyons and the sounds bounce back and forth. The whole place was swarming with police. There were helicopters and dogs, sniffed out, bloodhounds. It was a circus, he said.
Wow.
And he said it was just nuts. And when he said, what is this about? And he says, one of your neighbors was and some friends were, and they couldn't give him the details because the police were keeping it hush hush on the details. And they later said when he found out, when he heard the news, and he said he knew Sharon because she lived right up the street. He used to see her. He was a very active person back in 1969.
So I know a lot of people think that telephone pole, is that the existing one just moved over to the opposite side of the street?
Honestly, I can't tell you that because I don't know. But I do know that the original telephone pole that was here back before they destroyed the house in 1994, 30 years ago, sat on that side of the street on the left. Yeah.
And that's the hillside they climbed up?
Again, remember, this couldn't be it because a gate in 1969, 55 years ago, sat about 53 feet in, is where the original gate and all that stuff was.
Wow.
And so they went around the hillside, inwards, of course, but it's still the same mountain, obviously.
Right.
But that's how they got in. But remember, first thing he did was climb the telephone pole and cut the power lines. And people look at this, no, it was on that side of the street.
Right.
Which, when you think about it, just makes it a little bit more hairy, meaning you're climbing up about 35 feet up that telephone pole. And God forbid if something happens, on this side, it's not a bad thing. It's a much worse thing there because if you fall off, you're going to go down that hillside all the way to the bottom of Cielo Drive, another 200 and something feet down the slope.
How nice it would have been if that
No
happened.
kidding. What if, could have, and should have,
right.
Of course. Like Quentin Tarantino Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. People have come up and said, where's Cliff and whatchamacallit's house? And I said, you mean the house with the swimming pool? Yeah. So again, in a lot of respects, people believe what they see because and I said, well, Sharon's been dead for 55 years and her son has been too. So the idea that you watch that movie taking it for real is totally, unfortunately, wrong.
Right. That's it. I mean, but the only thing that can be said that remains is it's on the same property, right? Everything was turned.
The land is still there. But yeah, when Mr. Weintraub bought the property, there's a video on YouTube, I think it's called The Tate House Demolition from 1994, and I remember watching it. The last person to live there was Trent Reznor, and his mixing board was on the spot where Sharon had died. It then cuts to the demolition, and you see bulldozers literally going from here all the way in, digging down like a few feet, and then literally just everything, every stitch and blade of grass on that original property is wiped out. He ended up selling the house to Jeff Franklin, and I forgot what year, it was like 2004, 6 or something. And it was like they just spent years upon years upon years upon years to finish it. If you build a house and you design it, you're the only one that's going to understand it. Right. And in that case, no one could understand it. Right. I mean, it's an auditorium. I go into the living room and I'm going, I said, Mr. Weintraub, I said, why such tall ceilings? It just feels strange. Yeah. It's just like I said, it's like you're in an auditorium, and I'm like, 12-foot high ceiling is fine, but 24.
Jesus Christ.
That note you're about to see. Well, first there's that. Yeah.
To her sister?
Yeah, the one who passed away 20 years ago now. And there's the note that was in there. The note was inside of there, not in the plastic sleeve. The woman had it listed on eBay. I sent the email. I said, why would Sharon Tate sign it Sharon Tate to her mother or her sister? I tell her who I am, and I live up here at the house, blah, 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 blah. And she goes, I think this belongs to you. And I'm like, what? She goes, I'm sending it to you as a gift. I want you to have this. I'm like, fuck. Inside this book is this note. And this is where it was. It was right here. I opened up the box. I'm like, oh my God. It's like, oh, that's so cool. And I opened up the book, and out just comes fluttering down onto the ground right here. And I'm like, what the fuck is this? And I picked it up, and I'm like,
wow.
No. Wow is the fact that big figurines knocked over.
They're down.
Yeah, they're not up. They've been knocked over, and I don't know who the hell has been messing with them, but somebody's been. By the way, this is one of the cameras that's in the house. This is dedicated specifically for them, trained upon them. In this room, there's a camera there as well, and a camera there. So the entire room is blanketed with the cameras covering them. So you can see from all different angles that nothing is being done. Oh yeah, since some people on some of the other videos it said, why didn't you open up the fish tank and look under the canopy? I want you to be the first to actually go look under both sides in there, and you'll see there is not a gosh darn actuator.
Nothing.
Or a plunger that's hitting. You got these stupid LED lights that are lighting up the tank. But
right.
There's nothing in there.
Is there one that falls over more than the others?
No. All of them. I'll show you which ones have knocked over. They've knocked over him, them, all of these larger ones, him, her, and the Alec Baldwin character.
Sorry, Billy. What's this article?
That article came out, I think it's 10 years ago. I think more than that, shoot. This was from, 10 years ago, try 15 years ago. This is from the anniversary of the murders, the 40th anniversary of the murders, which is again 15 years ago. And this is the Sunday Daily Express in the UK. What's interesting is that 2 years before this was printed, Lisa Williams, the famous English psychic, came here. And what's interesting about that is she saw me on Ghost Hunters in 2006 or 7. And Lisa reached out to me and said, I want to see your house. And I said, who is this? And she goes, it's Lisa Williams. And I was like, oh, I said, the English psychic with the TV show? Yeah, I know you. And I said, she goes, I want to see your house. And I was like, why? She goes, I'm curious. I said, yeah, you can come here. I said, but you cannot bring your television crew to use the house for your show. So she goes, no, I'll come alone. She comes in the house, and she's standing at where we were at this top of the stair, looking into where we are here. And she says to me, she's like this, and I'm going like, what? It's like she's looking in this room, and she's doing like this. And I said, what's wrong? Because, I see a whole group of people in this room socializing. And I said, who all do you see? And she goes, well, I see Sharon Tate. And she's literally like doing like this, like pointing at them. I see Sharon Tate. I see Jay Sebring, I see Rudolph Valentino, and I'm like, well, Valentino's home, Falcon Lair, is literally across the canyon from here.
Falcon Lair? No way.
Right. Wow. I don't know how much you can see in the darkness. Well, furthermore, there's not much to see to begin and end with because they tore the house down.
Oh, wow.
Almost 18 years ago now. Where that tree silhouette, the solo tree, that's where the main house sat. Towards from there to this way.
Wow.
And that was his home. And all that's left now is the servants' quarters, the garage underneath it, and the guest house that's there. And of course the famous wall that's in front of the gates, next to the gates there.
That still says Falcon Lair on it.
Still says Falcon Lair there from 1927.
Wow.
I think it's 27 or 26 that they built it. Wow. So Lisa says, and I see a bunch of other people I don't recognize. I'm like going, and she goes, oh yeah, I see a group of Native Americans clustered around a campfire. And I'm like, a campfire? What the? She goes, no, it's in their plane of existence. And I'm like, oh, okay. I said, the house isn't going to burn. She said, no, that has no effect upon you. I was like, thank God, Lisa. And she says, oh yeah, they want me to tell you something. I said, what? And she goes, they want me to tell you how much they really appreciate you. And I'm like, what do you mean? She goes, they appreciate you letting them stay here. I said, well, Lisa, I think of it this way. I'm not going to live forever. I said, I don't know anybody that is. And last I checked, we all will pass from this mortal coil. I said, far be it from me to kick them out of my house today, and then however many years down the road when I do pass away, I get to the other side, And they're sitting there looking, hey, there's that David Oman guy. He says, you remember what he did to us? How he kicked our asses out of his house? I don't want to spend an eternity to get my ass kicked across the gosh darn eternal, flat plane because I was an asshole.
Right.
While I was alive and I kicked him out of my house. And she looked at me and she said, that's why they like you so much, because I said, well, I'm padding my landing when I pass away and go to the other side. They'll be like, David, how are you? It's like, hey, you remember I left you stay at the house.
Hi, baby.
So yeah, that's Reggie.
Oh, Reggie, you're so sweet.
So that's
sweet.
part of the thing about why I don't get scared, because after 22 years of living here, I've never had anything that made me go, fear for my life.
Right.
Oh my God, no. I've had fear for my wallet because the spirits turned on one occasion, God, a number of years ago now, like 10 or 12 years ago plus, I got an electric bill and I was like, the hell is this?
Right.
I said, what the? It was 3 times the normal amount. And I said, how do you go? And I started realizing that through the course of the past couple of months, we had things that were televisions turning on in the middle of the night by themselves, and the circuit breaker popped.
Oh my gosh.
And that was the pop that I heard. And I'm like going, wow. Did you hear? It was like,
Yeah.
You heard it, right?
Uh-huh.
I heard it. Time is 9:12. We're gonna watch on the big screen because that was a spirit. Unless it could have been the dog, but I don't think it was.
No,
That
it
didn't sound like the dog.
Uh-uh.
There's nobody in the fucking house but you and I. The cats don't make that sound. Play it back. Are just totally like, oh wow, oh fuck yeah. So I was right.
Wow.
Who else could it have been? We're the only ones in the house, and you heard that. And when you play it back, you isolate on that and just turn up the volume so you can hear that woman's voice, and you heard it.
Oh my gosh.
That shit, crazy. Now they want you to know that they're around. That's it. Did you hear that?
Uh-huh.
It's very faint. That's it. I don't know what the hell that is. I can't explain it. I have no idea. You heard it, right? You can hear me singing there.
Have you heard something that sounds like that before?
It's a new one. Sounds like hello, doesn't it? Hello. You heard it. Hello. I heard it. The dog's acting a little bit hinky right now as well. He looks like he's saying something. What is it? It's not walking to me either. That's crazy.
Sharon, was that you?
Somebody. That's a certainty. This is where we are now. This is the house next door. This is the house there. That is the telephone pole. And these are all police cars.
Jesus.
And there's Stephen's car. So you can see this is where the gate was here. And Stephen's car was back here. And there's the house. That's Jay Sebring's Porsche, and that's Abigail Folger's Camaro.
This is the guest house?
The guest house is actually way back here.
Oh.
So this is the garage right here. This is the house, and then in the back, way over here near the swimming pool, was the guest house.
Wow, and is that a blanket covering?
Yeah, that's a sheet covering one of the bodies.
Wow.
That's either Abigail or Wojtek, because they were the only 2 people that were outside the house that were murdered. Well, correction, so was Stephen Parent, but as far as the residents concerned, that's one of the bodies, so it has to be Abigail or Wojtek, because Jay and Sharon were inside the house. Fingerprints being done on the car, and of course the coroner leaving or entering the premises with the gurney.
Wow.
And this is a picture of year 2000 or 1999. This is the state of the property then in 1999. And this is the state of my lot where we were building, where we are present day.
So what made your dad want to build on this site?
Why this lot?
Yeah.
Financially. My father found it and was a foreclosure for $40,000 with $100,000 worth of pre-existing improvements, which you'll see here. This is how it looked when we bought the lot. And we saw that there was rebar that was already laying on the surface. And when we uncovered removed all the dirt that was covering it, there in fact were 13 2-foot deep, 2-foot wide, 30-foot deep holes that were reinforced steel that were underneath each one of these points. And this rebar was basically $100,000 improvement on top of the value of the land. And here's an interesting picture. This is from the day of the murders. And you can see the two houses here, which is this, and the driveway. And here you are, the driveway, same driveway.
It's crazy to see the driveway without any homes along the way.
Right.
Because you're so used to seeing homes.
Exactly. And this is the day of the murder. So here the two houses are leading up to the end of the street where the Tate property was, with the Altobelli property where Tate was renting. Then this famous photograph that was shot during a video that I shot, the woman at the time says, "I feel the presence of a spirit. She's over my left shoulder and she's finding it difficult to speak." And I'm 10 feet away from her and I take the picture. Well, the lights are on, and yes, this is a digital photograph, but that cannot be a speck of dust.
Right.
Because it's not shot in the darkness, and that's not shot with infrared light. So a speck of dust reflecting against the infrared light when it isn't in use can't be explained. And in conjunction with what she says, that she feels the presence of a spirit over her left shoulder, where it is.
It looks like a head.
And it's just right there. And she says that she's telling me she feels it's very difficult to speak. And I snapped the picture, and that's there.
Wow.
Okay. All right, your turn. You walk on it.
Oh, it feels like I'm on a boat.
Keep going. What else are you feeling?
Chest constriction almost.
Pressure almost?
Yeah.
More pressure, like restriction on your chest, as you said, so when you breathe, you actually feel like it's harder to breathe.
Yeah.
The pressure right here, I mean, the equilibrium of feeling like you're rocking back and forth in a boat, that's been reported in this hallway since, 22 years ago. But the pressure I'm feeling when I was walking through, I was feeling like somebody literally like pushing in at the temple areas, just squeezing it in, and it still feels like that. Let's go to the third floor, and it's still funny. It is still. Oh, that was me. Oh. Boy, that was a dumb thing to do. Oh, it's still. My head feels like the pressure. Usually, when you leave that area, I just feel the back of my head too now, that it dissipates. This is the theater room.
Wow.
This is where usually, I'd like to say, a lot of stuff happens. I mean, pressure, energy. This whole floor has had so many incidents that have taken place. Posters in neon, which the Peace Love is an original from '68. I do believe that one's an original from like 1970. I know this is from 1971 because this is new old stock that I bought. I know that this is new old stock as well from 1970. The We're All Mad Here, said the cat, was from like 1970. It's again an original poster. That Magic Mushroom poster is an original. The War Is Not Healthy for Children is from 1968. And what's this one says? We're All Mad. Again, with the cat. This is like 1969.
Wow. So cool.
Yeah. Did you just...
Yes.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Jesus.
Are you kidding me?
No, I'm not. We've definitely got some visitors here with us right now. This is... And it doesn't happen all the... God, not like that it don't all the time.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, we got somebody going on here. Something, like I said, this is the floor that lots of stuff happens. That's the gosh darn
Oh my
stairs.
gosh.
I mean, there's no short in that. You know that. Can you stop, please? Jesus Christ. Yeah, you've got some crazy medical heads around here with us.
And it didn't start until we came in this room.
Yeah, exactly my point. Like last night, it happened once, and then it turned off. The lights went out for about 10 or 15 seconds. It was like, okay, that's strange. And then they came back on, and it stopped. That is like rapid-fire machine gun.
Like strobe lights.
Yeah, that's what it's like, strobe lights. And it shouldn't be. There's just no...
Wow.
It's Except when we came into this room, they felt like we did, I don't know, it's like we offended them or something. I don't try to understand. I just know that there's something wanting to get your attention is what I think it is.
Yeah.
'Cause that certainly is getting their, no, you God. This is, last night, this didn't happen. Not like it happened like once or twice and that was it. This is like,
it's really going.
like they want to get your attention and there's something important that they want to be heard or something. I don't know, but
wow, David.
that's prominent and present. To put it bluntly, that is very present. Whatever I said,
Right.
either appease them or appeal to them, or they acknowledge it as, yes, that's factual, and now we're not going to do anymore.
Yeah, look at that.
That's their way of communicating in so many words. So, with that said, I'll show you the earthen wall room. So this is the earthen wall room.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow.
Oh, wow, I was right.
And that's a little altar?
Yeah, that's an altar to the Native American. This earthen mound room under the house came to be because my father, when we were building the house, wanted to turn this into an apartment, this whole third floor. Now, originally, what you see, that earth there, that originally the earth came right down to here. The hillside came right to this. Story goes again back to Lisa Williams, who was here 17 years ago. And she says when she came in here, she goes, "Oh, do you know there's a Native American on horseback up in this mound of earth?" And she's pointing up to that corner, to that area up there. And I'm like, "Huh?" She goes, "He's here." And I said, "What do you mean he's here?" And she goes, "Well, his remains are interred in the earth." I said, "What do you mean?" And she says that a couple hundred years ago, like 300 years ago, this Native American was on his horse and he was riding on the horse path, which is now the driveway. His horse lost its footing and fell down the slope of the hill. As they fell down the hill, the horse and the rider both broke their necks. And there was a big tree that was here that stopped their bodies from going further down the hill. And she goes, through the years, his remains and the horse's remains scattered on this mound of earth. And she goes, through the years, the remains were interred into the earth by the mudslides. And when we cut into this mound of earth, you can see the different layers that exist there of the color of mud that's basically come down the hill. And she says that somewhere in this mound of earth, there are bones all scattered through there of the horse and the rider. And I then, a couple years later, got a copy of the Benedict Canyon Valley Association magazine. In it was an article. It pointed out a historical landmark a mile away from here, down on Benedict Canyon and Chevy Chase Drive. And I read the article and said, there were Native Americans here. I'm like going, what the fuck? And it says, there's proof of this, and the evidence is that you can go to Chevy Chase Drive and Benedict Canyon, and there's a granite boulder with a brass placard on it. And on the placard it says, on this spot in 1925, when ground was first broken for the Beverly Hills First Women's Club, the remains of 3 Native Americans were uncovered from an earlier battle between the early Californians and the Native Americans. And I'm like, on the spot that they were killed, they buried them there. So 87 years later, in 1920, it's maybe 29, either 29 or 25, they uncovered the remains of those Native Americans. So it then goes to prove that all the psychics that had been here when I was doing that, first living here, were saying, I feel Native American energies. And I'm like, Native American energies? Right, sure.
Right.
In the middle of Beverly Hills. And I'm thinking, gee, I look like the biggest donkey schmuck. When Lisa said that, it's like, oh God, that makes sense now.
Totally.
It is true.
It's crazy to think they would have been walking up this right here, yeah.
And Quentin, when he shot Once Upon a Time, had the 3 killer kids walk up the driveway. I'm walking down the driveway past the second house. The 3 killer kids are walking up the driveway. The guy and the 2 girls. The girl that had that red fucking afro. I walked down towards them and we're closing ranks. And you're him and I'm about 10 feet away. And I said, so you must be the killer kids. And we all stopped. The 3 of them stopped like 10 feet away from me and I stopped here. And he goes, what gave it away? And he's playing it totally, and I said, oh, this is fun. I love this shit. I'm thinking, yeah, let's go. I said, and I played a deadpan. I said, oh, I don't know. I said, there's 3 of you, 2 girls and a guy walking up a very infamous driveway where some really bad people did some really terrible things to the people down the street from my house.
Right.
I said, I don't know, call it a lucky gas. And he just like, he burst. The 2 girls like looking at him, oh, this is funny. And I said, I'm David. It's nice to meet you guys. I didn't know that they were. Yeah. Quentin is at the bottom of at the corner of the entrance of the driveway, and I hear this, no, no. My back is towards him, so I hear this no, no, and I know immediately it's Quentin. He comes up, he goes, David, I want them to walk the walk. I want them to get into the real depth of the character. Right. They're here. We're only going to be here, and the next scenes we're going to shoot. I want them to be totally immersed in that. So the next day, I ended up talking to Quentin when I was going to bed at like 1 in the morning, the last night, and I said, Quentin, I said, I just want to apologize to you for what happened last night. I said, I feel terrible. I know exactly what you were doing, and I felt so bad, and I want to let you know. And he looked at me like, again, it was sincerity, and he was like, no, he goes, thank you for saying that.
Do you get people coming up here late at night?
Yeah, especially because now it's summertime and people are vacationing, so they just kill the lights at the end of the street.
Do they always do that?
Yeah, it depends what time of nights, but somebody inside there obviously killed the lights.
Okay, so it's the morning after my visit at David Oman's house. I still can't believe the things I caught on camera last night. I don't know how to explain it. I really don't. I mean, a sound can be anything, but it didn't sound like anything you could attribute it to. And the fact that it was heard from inside the house on multiple different cameras, the lights I was flabbergasted by. I mean, it was right there in front of me and it would not stop. And we were the only ones in the house. And when we walked in the room, we were standing around the room for a good 5 minutes before we went into the other room. There was no flickering. It's just wild. It's just wild. Am I a believer now? I don't know. But I definitely believe that there's some very, very strong energy up on that street, in that area. A lot of history, a lot of energy. But I wanted to say thank you so much to David for graciously inviting me into your home. Really, really appreciate all of the stories you told. And I wanted to let you guys know that if you guys wanted to go on a ghost tour at David's house, tomorrow night, Saturday, June 29th, author Marie Mason is coming to David's house to do a real ghost adventure. So if you're interested, I'll put the link in my bio. Get your tickets. It's on Eventbrite. And go check out all that lies in that house for yourself, because that was crazy. I will catch you guys on the next one. I hope you guys like this one. This was super fun, and I will see you on the next one.